So I've already duplicated my print document. So now I have a project 2 folder here, which will be used exclusively for project 2, okay, which is again the EPUB. So when I open that up, I have this file folder, which is neatly labeled with everything in it that I had actually in my 160 plus page book. And what we're going to do today is we're going to work on resizing our cover. Okay, so I have my cover folder here. I'm just going to go into that document. I've already relabeled it as my project 2 cover. Remember when you go in and you duplicate your files, you have to relabel them all so that it's project 2, just so you don't get confused, okay? I've included this final cover folder here, which is going to house my JPEG for my, my cover that's going to go into my EPUB. So let's open up this AI. Okay, I did mine in Illustrator, so I'm going to open that up, and I have my document here. Okay, and remember our cover for our EPUB isn't going to include our flaps. It's not going to include a spine or our back cover or our back flap, okay? It's just the front page that it's going to include. But we do want to make sure that we have some of our elements on there. So we're going to resize it and readjust accordingly, okay? So our size for our EPUB cover is going to be 1600 wide by 2560 tall, okay? And those are pixels. So right now I have my document set up as inches. So I am actually just going to go over and change my ruler, change it to pixels. Okay, and then I am going to edit my artboard. So once I change my ruler to pixels, you'll notice that my increments have also changed up here in the toolbar up at the top. Okay, so my width is going to be 1600 pixels by 2560 pixels in height. So it's much bigger. Okay, all of my text and graphics, the majority of them anyways, are all vectors, so I have no problem sizing everything up. Okay, and remember, we don't need a bleed for this either. I'm just going to go in and delete some of these things that I don't need. Resize my background to my artboard. Okay, and then I can go and I can play with some of my elements and move them around, okay? I just want to make sure that it looks the way I want it to. Okay, and so now that I have it sitting the way I want it to, I need to go in and I need to change my color space, okay? Because this document, you'll see right here, is set up as CMYK. Remember, CMYK is used for printed documents, okay? That is the printing process. That's the colors that we use for the printing process. Remember, anything on screen is RGB. Okay, So File, Document Color Mode. Okay, and you can just change your document to RGB. And you'll notice that our preview is now changed to RGB. So what I'm going to do is, since I've already labeled this document as project 2, I'm just going to save it. So Command S to save. And if I'm happy with how everything looks, then I can save this as a JPEG. Okay, File, Save As. Actually, this one, let's export in Illustrator. Let's export as. And remember, I set up that final cover folder. This is just so I don't get confused, okay? If I put something else in there, I know that this is my final cover. So I've just selected use artboards. And I can just select 1, 2 if I had multiple artboards in there. And I'm going to change this to a JPEG. And I'm going to export. Okay, our color mode is RGB. Our quality is at the maximum size. Our resolution I am keeping at 300. Remember, if we use different devices, if our cover is sized up, with a 300 dpi resolution, if that's sized up, it won't be that big of a difference. Like if we, as far as quality and resolution, okay? So like if we set it at 72 dpi and we size that up to, let's say, like a computer screen, that's a significant increase in size. And so you may lose some quality. So to be on the safe side, we are keeping the resolution high at 300 dpi, 300 ppi in here, okay? And we are going to say, okay. Okay. Let's take a look at our folder, make sure it's in there, and there it is. Okay. So that will be my final cover. And once we get into our EPUB and start laying that out and figuring everything out and exporting it as a PDF, that's when we're going to use that final cover folder. But for now, we have it ready to go when we need it.